Today's headline is a Hazed student's device. It says, in 1831 to 1832, some of the law and order students of Bowdoin College undertook to stop all hazing and other like irregularities. They sometimes used carnal weapons, and used them pretty effectively too, to the grief of those who considered hazing a divine institution, and all who interfered with it as having no rights which a hazer was bound to respect. Some circumstances made one of the leaders of the anti-hazing party especially obnoxious, and he was warned that some terrible vengeance would be executed upon him by a league formed for that purpose. He was not easily frightened, and he did not even think it necessary to take his special precautions. One night, about midnight, 7 of the hazers broke into his room and seized him in his sleep. It did not take him long to wake up sufficiently to comprehend the situation. Resistance was useless. He instantly decided to play possum and feign death. He was borne down 2 flights of stairs with a rush, in no gentle hands, and with many a wrench and bruise, to the pump. But he never moved. He lay perfectly limp in their hands. The device succeeded. When they reached the pump, one of the assailants exclaimed, "He's dead." The frightened students dropped him on the ground and fled. The sight of the pump and the wet platform revived the dead, and he rose and pursued the fleeing students. Fear added wings to their flight. They were all masked, and they all made good their escape. He went back to bed, and being naturally unexcitable and cool, he went to sleep, woke later than usual, ate his breakfast, and went about his usual business, taking no notice of the affair. The students held a college meeting and passed strong resolutions commendatory of his course and character, and condemning the perpetrators of the act as unworthy of college fellowship. But they were unknown, and the college faculty was unable to take any action in the premises, even if it had been minded so to do. What were its inclination, or whether it had any, we do not know. The student, however, had decided what course he would pursue before he went to sleep the eventful night, and he was well satisfied with his decision. He has shown in afterlife, in many a critical emergency, the same coolness and the same resoluteness of purpose which served him then. For 6 weeks, he absolutely refused to talk about the affair, even with his most intimate friends. Everyone thought it buried forever. In consequence, the actors became communicative. They leaked. The student waited and watched till his evidence was accumulated and convincing. Then, one morning, he waited on a lawyer in the town and desired to retain him for a criminal prosecution for assault and battery. The lawyer was at first inclined to pooh-pooh at him. The student pressed the question, "Is it an assault and battery to break into a man's room at night and carry him forcibly down the stairs to pump on him? Is it an offense against the laws of the state? Is there any punishment provided for such an offense? Will you take the retainer, or shall it go to the lawyer over the way?" The case was taken. The warrants were issued. The 7 perpetrators were all arrested, if we are not mistaken, were marched out of their recitation room one morning by the constable, and 17 collegians were summoned as witnesses to prove the facts. The whole college was in an uproar. The excitement extended throughout the town, and we venture to say that the office of the Justice of the Peace was never thronged before or since by a more interested and excited crowd. The justice adjourned the case for 2 weeks to give time for the employment of able counsel. Lawyers were retained for the defense from Portland, but when they knew the facts, they advised their clients that there was no defense. They were guilty. They would be convicted. They must be sentenced. The court would have no option. There was no escape except in the mercy of the prosecutor. They offered to pay him for the damage done. He replied that he wanted no money. He simply wanted to punish a great wrong and to prevent its repetition upon others. At length, thoroughly frightened, the hazer signed a confession which was publicly read in the college chapel and paid for all the costs of the prosecution. The case was discontinued. So was hazing in that college for that period of its history. Some of the most distinguished citizens of Maine took pains to thank the student for thus proving that law was supreme in college as out of it. The student himself is now a leading professor in one of our theological seminaries. This article originally came from the Christian Union. This story came from the great state of Iowa, being reported in the Toledo Chronicle of April 4th, 1878. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.